Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. Come bathe in our pale moonlight. On today's show, we have wonderful toys, Han Solo news, and the littlest of evils gets his very own trailer. Ashley, who's joining me today?
Also here is Kristian Harloff.
If you steal my applesauce, I steal your heavy computer. This thing is heavy.
Also here, Perri Nemiroff.
It's a good machine, that's why. Apple.
No.
You know, Ashley, I don't know how our next guest is going to follow those two intros.
Try it out, John Rocha. Try it out.
As bad as they were, he still won't be able to.
Here's what I'll tell you. See Kristian's shirt? If Goonies really never said die, that'd have been a sequel. So, you know, that's all I need to say about that movie.
I'm Rocha. I'm hip. I don't like movies like Predator and Goonies.
Man.
But I like Transformers.
What a fantastic way to kick off this show with action. I'm really excited about today's show because we have a bunch of news stories that are probably going to cause a lot of spirited debate. Before we get to any of that, I'll remind you guys later on in the show more information about that special Jurassic Park screening that we have coming up. But it's kind of a fun little announcement that we get to make is that we know Kristian, we know Perri, everybody knows Rocha. We're big fans of his, but it actually was made official that John Rocha is now a full-time member of Collider Video.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, buddy. How's
you.
it feel to have a job?
It feels great. Ashley Mova didn't clap, so that's all I need to know.
So
thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great. I'm so excited to be part of the family, and as you guys know, I've been freelancing for a while with you all, and I was very happy to get the offer, and I'm happy to be on board. And I'm excited for all the new projects and stuff I'll be producing, writing, and being on camera for more. So that's great.
We're excited to have him for sure, but there are a lot of disappointed people that have been going to Universal Studios the last couple of days looking for a certain train conductor and nowhere to be found.
They're posting on Facebook on Schmoville about how they flew. One woman who we might get in the studio flew from the UK to see me specifically and missed me by 2 days.
You should just dress up as the conductor when you come on Movie Talk.
That was part of the deal. You were supposed to do that every day here, and you have not.
I'm sorry. Welcome, Movie Talk. How are you? Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
Might have been the last time you ever hear him in the conductor's voice.
Right.
Well, John Rocha's been here for 3 days. We already have a Joker spin-off movie. Ashley, tell us about it.
Deadline shocked DC fans yesterday when they reported that Warner Brothers in DC would be developing a new banner of DC films unconnected to their current DCEU, with the first project reportedly a Joker origin story set in the 80s on the gritty streets of Gotham City. The Hangover's Todd Phillips is currently in talks to direct, with Martin Scorsese on as a producer. Deadline states that WB's intention is to make a grounded, hard-boiled crime film that isn't meant to feel like a DC movie, and to make it more akin to one of Scorsese's films from that era, like Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, or The King of Comedy. Moreover, Deadline states Jared Leto will not be a part of this new incarnation, but will return for Suicide Squad 2 and Gotham City Sirens. The Joker origin movie does not have a release date set at this time. Mark, what are your thoughts on a Joker origin movie with Todd Phillips directing and Martin Scorsese producing?
Ashley, my thoughts could take an hour, and I think everybody here, we could go on for days about this story and what this really means, what it portends to in a larger scale of things, but I'm kind of excited about this news. Here's why the good things about this, first of all, is that because we live in a world where you can have the freedom to tell a story about an iconic character that doesn't have to tie in to 20 other movies. But I'll say on the opposite side of that it does feel a little reactionary that DC has been doing things recently. It doesn't necessarily feel like they have a full direction of where they want to go with the DCEU, and maybe the spinoff is a reason for that. Maybe this is just Martin Scorsese was up at 4 a.m. listening to the Stones, saw a trailer for it, and is like, oh, I want to make a Joker movie, and so now that's why we have this. But this could mean that we get more stories that have characters that we're fans of that don't have to be in a huge world. Like, I've always been a fan of speculating, what if we just got like a Deadpool Wolverine road trip movie and it had nothing to do with anything? What if we just had Iron Man and Hulk hanging out and it had nothing to do with the rest of the Avengers? Those are kind of cool stories. They happen in comic books all the time when you can have a different storyline and it takes you down a path, you're done with that session, and then it's over. And then it doesn't have any larger implication in any other world. So I think that this is an exciting prospect. I'm just not sure that the Joker needs an origin story. Part of the greatness of the Joker is that we're a little not that we have no idea where this guy came from. There's a lot of different iterations. I think the coolest one was the Heath Ledger version where he gave 20 different backstories as to where he came from, because that's the whole point, is that we don't know where he came from. He just wants to watch the world burn. So Kristian, Is the world going to burn because we're getting this new Joker spin-off movie?
No, it's not going to burn because you got the name of Martin Scorsese involved, and that's why, yeah, it could have been reactionary. Look, this is smart, this is dangerous. There's a lot of different things that are attached with what you do with this particular movie. The one thing that I'm surprised to hear you say is that you don't need a Joker origin story, which I happen to agree with. One of your favorite movies in 1989's Batman does explore the Joker's origin, which I don't think was the way that they should have done it, but they did, and it worked. But I think that the reason I think that it's dangerous is because with Scorsese producing. Now, even with him just producing, that doesn't mean you're going to get the feel of a Taxi Driver and everything too, because he's not directing. Todd Phillips is. And before you say, what, the Hangover guy? War Dogs was a lot better than it should have been, honestly, because I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't know, and I thought he directed that very well. The movie was not bad, and I don't necessarily know that means he can do a Scorsese-type feel and look for the Joker, but it could be interesting. The dangerous part about it is because this is not like the MCU right now, to where, and I don't even think they would do something like this right now, but to do a standalone thing, you know how connected this universe is. They're still trying to connect everything with the DCEU right now. There's only a few movies that, obviously, Wonder Woman got them on track. We'll see what happens with Justice League and these other movies. Having two Jokers at the same time could be a conflict of interest, because whoever they get to play the Joker in this Todd Phillips version, if he's better, the fans are going to say, wait a minute, why isn't he the Joker? Then the other dangerous part of that is if that particular DC movie, because it's still a DC movie, if that movie is better than anything they had done before, and they were to base it in the realism, and they start comparing it to Nolan, people are going to start calling for that to start pushing off into its own separate universe, and the DCEU might take a back seat. But the opposite side of that, the positive side of it, what could be is that it's very similar, like a comic book run. That there's a particular line that you're reading and you're invested in, and then there's a side thing that's just kind of an alternate universe that it's just basically they're going, have fun. Because here, if Scorsese comes in and sits down with you and says, I'm thinking about doing a Joker movie, you don't go, well, we're working on other stuff in the DCEU. Thanks.
We already got one of those. Thanks, Marty.
You say, well, what are you thinking about? And then he's the type of guy that can start this kind of conversation. So I understand every complaint. I understand every bit of excitement. There's nothing to be said or done until you see something.
But are you excited about just hearing this? Are you excited? I understand your point about confusion, but like it's not going to confuse any of us because we work in this space day in and day out. We're going to be able to parse the Joker.
It could conflict you.
My mom is going to have no idea what the hell's going on with Joker.
Normal audience will be confused. Right. We could potentially be conflicted because if they get somebody that is better than Jared Leto, and Jared Leto's fine as the Joker, but if they get somebody who's better, you might go, I'm kind of more attached to what they're doing here with the Joker and everything than I am in DCEU. Or you might say, that's just a great standalone movie. You won't know until you see it. So again, every concern that comes out is valid. Every decision as far as how this was brought about is valid. The business-wise behind it makes a lot of sense. The confusion and worry from fans makes a lot of sense. So it's just one of those things. It's Scorsese that wants to produce. How involved he's going to be is another question entirely. But it's a risk that you take if he is going to be involved all the way through.
Perri, we just hired a new clown here in the office. Do you think that we have room in the world for two Jokers?
That's a tough question. So if you pitch this to me as just simply a Joker origin with Phillips and Scorsese attached, and the DCEU was not in play at all, I would be all in. So excited for this. Yes, I understand concerns about a Joker origin story, especially as a horror lover. That's a big problem with a lot of slashers and villains, is that the second you demystify them, they're not scary anymore. I think there is an opportunity to explore that with the Joker, though, as long as it's handled the right way. And with these kinds of people involved, I suspect they will go about it the right way. But yeah, it's going to be confusing if we have two Jokers, just like it's confusing right now that we have Spider-Man in the MCU and no one can understand how this Sony stuff is going to work. It's going to be the same thing here. And if this movie, because this is just in the early stages, who knows if this is ever going to really move forward, but if it does, not only could Warner Brothers wind up in a position where they're cannibalizing their own material by having two Jokers, but then in that Deadline report, it says that this film is intended to launch a yet-to-be-named new banner at Warner Brothers, which will expand the DC universe of films to create new storylines with different actors playing the beloved characters. So So that's the DCEU what? Like 2.0? I don't really get how those two things can live side by
Is
side.
this a way for them to replace the other one?
It's a bold direction for them to take. I mean, if you want to like have everybody likes this cast more, so let's just continue to use the Flash. So let's just continue to Flashpoint everything back to where we get the best cast that we can settle on. But I also think that there is some merit to the fact that we're just going to make a bunch of movies. We have a Gotham TV show, and you as the audience, it's going to be up to you to parse through this and see which ones speak to you the most. Because if you're throwing a lot of volume of content at people, you're going to see it come back with money. It might not have one movie that makes $1 billion, but if you have 5 movies that all take place at different time periods that all do fairly well, I think that's a credit.
It just seems like if what Kristian brought up is the approach they're taking with this, where they're trying to see, maybe which will do better, and let's have one outshine the other, and then just remove one. It's just a weird time to announce something like that after the success of Wonder Woman. I was feeling really, really good. I didn't love Wonder Woman. I liked it a lot, though, and I liked everything that it was telling me in terms of where they're going to go with these new DCEU movies. And then all of a sudden, you drop this in my lap, and I'm excited about it. But now, what does that mean for all the stuff that I just fell in love with?
That's a question for the new guy.
No. Here's my opinion on it. I agree to an extent with what Perri and Kristian are saying, and of course you, Mark, as well. Like, they need to put some more tent poles in the ground before we start doing this. This feels very reminiscent. If you collect comics and you follow comics, this feels very reminiscent of like Elseworld stuff. They're creating these characters and they're putting them in different scenarios. And yeah, they may go create this origin story, but the question is going to be: are you doing Brian Azzarello's Joker? Are you doing Denny O'Neil's Joker, where he's a complete homicidal maniac and he's completely declared legally mentally insane? Are you doing the Jack Nicholson Joker? Because if you're setting it in the 80s, that Batman was set in the 80s. You know, we're getting Michael Keaton with a cameo. There's so much to play with here as the Batman. There's so much to play with here. But I like the idea of Scorsese and Todd Phillips coming together. I know Todd Phillips, War Dogs. I agree with Kristian. I thought the movie was decent. It was very fun. It showed a mature filmmaker. Can they do the combination of humor and darkness, right? Scorsese, he brings that gritty Taxi Driver vibe to it. Even if you saw Silence, there's a lot of grittiness in that movie that a lot of people felt uncomfortable watching. Mm-hmm. So he can bring that still, even though he's not directing, he can still bring that vibe combined with Todd Phillips to create a great Joker origin story. The question is what you guys are talking about, the confusion of it all. I agree, because we already have a Joker on Gotham. We have a Joker now with Suicide Squad. And I think the reason they're doing this is because Jared Leto was so widely not received as a good Joker, so they feel they have this avenue to explore it. My concern is this. Be patient.
Your concern is you got to go to the doctor.
I get all excited. There's a lot of talking. My concern is this. I'm choking on my Marvel thing. Sorry. My concern is this. Be patient. Establish some stuff. Wonder Woman, great. Let's see how Justice League does. Let's see how the other movies do. This reminds me a lot with Gotham Sirens and Batgirl and all the stuff going on with Joss Whedon now that happened over the last couple of days. That throws that into question. So this feels very much like DCU is trying to run before they can walk. And I think just take a little bit of time, establish some stuff, and then you can start announcing this stuff and get people excited.
See, normally I agree with you there when it comes to take your time, but I think that, like I said, the point being with Scorsese is, there's the thing. If he's a busy dude.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If he wants to produce, if he legit wants to produce and get this thing going and give us you feel like, again, he produced Boardwalk Empire, and you got and if it's the Joker in a Boardwalk Empire type feel, then it's easy to understand why they'd want to jump at that, because you don't know how long you're going to have Scorsese involved or how long you're going to have him able to do it. So I don't disagree with your sentiment as far as you got to take time to develop it, but you also got to look at the business side of if you can attach his name, and if this is the thing that maybe you go in a different direction to launch this particular new thing that they want to do, maybe run two things at the same time, or this could be another thing with them throwing out the hook to see, let's see what the fans think about this first. They do that, and studios do that. So it's weird because I could just really go, this doesn't make any sense because they got to develop the DCEU. If you look at it at the other side, you can understand why Warner Brothers would be thinking, let's take a shot at this. Because Scorsese, it's the Todd Phillips thing. Again, nothing against him. It's an odd choice to pair those two up. Not a wrong choice, just an odd choice.
I think a guy with a dark comedic sense of humor like what Todd Phillips has can bring a lot to a Joker movie, but this timing does feel very odd to me, and I think that all this does is put more pressure on Justice League when it comes out, because if Justice League isn't great and it's not the perfect marriage between the best of Joss Whedon and the best of Zack Snyder, then this is going to have people talking, I wonder if Warner Brothers is doing this as an option to get out of their current DCU. So the timing does feel odd, but like Kristian said, at some point, if you have Scorsese who wants to do this, you have Todd Phillips who wants to do this, this, then you're going to have to make that announcement if they're going to start working on it. So will we see an actual Joker origin story? Will we see Batman in that world? The greatness of Batman and the greatness of the Joker is a little intertwined, so you might have to have a new Batman now as well. There's a whole lot to this story, so please leave your comments and let us know what you guys think about this very shocking news that we got yesterday. And now we're going to move on to some more news about a little movie called the Han Solo spinoff film, which I guess doesn't actually have a title. Ashley?
Deadline reports that Kenneth Williams is no longer a part of the new Star Wars standalone Han Solo movie. The trade states that due to the massive reshoots happening under director Ron Howard, the revamped production schedule conflicted with Williams' commitment to other projects. Speaking to Deadline about the changes, Williams said, "When Ron Howard got hired to finish out the film, there were some reshoot issues that needed to be done in regards to my character in order for it to match the new direction, which the producers wanted Ron to take the film in. It's scheduling. I'm not going to be back on the market until the end of November after Hap and Leonard, and for them to wait that long for me, that would have pushed back the release date, which I believe is in May 2018. They wanted me now, I couldn't go, so they had to clip. Kristian, do you believe this is another sign that the Han Solo movie is in trouble, or is this a normal thing to happen?"
I don't think it means it's in trouble, and I don't think that it means that it's normal. It is not normal at all. But I think that it comes with the territory of what's going on. Anyone that said that, Ron Howard's just going to come in here and make a couple changes here and there. This is a brand new movie. This is a brand new film. Now, I didn't really buy the actor schedule thing. I buy it 100% now. After hearing those comments, I buy it 100%. I think that the scheduling alone, because of what they have to do, he used the words, massive reshoots. Actors have certain things that they have in their contract that you're going to be there for a few reshoots, and I can make that work in my schedule. He's a busy guy, he is in demand, and he's not going to be able to do the amount of shoots that they're going to need him. I also think that it means that they probably had to maneuver a lot of stuff with the particular character. It also means that if you think about it, that means that a lot of the movie that Lord and Miller shot, whenever they shot with him, it was okay enough for them to say, well, we reshot so much of that it'll completely make sense if we just cut around it and not have this guy in it anymore. Because if they used a lot of that footage that Lord and Miller shot, they couldn't release him. They couldn't, because it wouldn't make sense in the timeline of it. They would have to say, all right, let's figure out ways to make this work. But because they're doing massive reshoots, this is a brand new film. This is no longer Lord and Miller's film. It just isn't. This is Ron Howard's movie. This is now a Ron Howard film, or Lawrence Kasdan, also, if you believe all the other reports, the fact that it's a Howard and Kasdan film together. Lord and Miller, I think that you're going to get a bit of their version, if anything. This is a completely revamped, retooled movie, and this proves it. That's all it does. Doesn't mean it's in trouble. It just means it's a new movie.
Yeah, I'm entirely of the belief that anytime your project loses a Kenneth Williams, then it's not as good as it could have been. But we don't know what that guy's role was in this movie. We've seen with Star Wars, they have a lot of big-name castings where we got really excited when they had members of the Raider coming in to be in The Force Awakens, and they were barely in one scene. So Kenneth Williams, he's playing a half-human, half-animal alien hybrid in the movie, and that could have been one cool scene. That could have been one cool entry into another bounty hunter's world that we saw, and then we left. So maybe Ron Howard actually wanted to have Kenneth Williams in more of the movie than Lord and Miller had, and that's why he just wasn't able to work it out with his schedule. I believe the scheduling conflict reports because he's working on Hap and Leonard, which is a Sundance TV project. He also has the Red Sea Diving Resort, which is going into production now in South Africa. That's got Ben Kingsley and Chris Evans. So Kenneth Williams is a working actor, and even though it is Star Wars and nothing speaks volumes like that brand, you're not necessarily able to drop whatever else you're doing and come back and do reshoots on a whim just because Ron Howard says he wants you to do this and this and this. So I understand it. It's a problem for me. So I was really looking forward to seeing him and what he could bring to the Star Wars universe. But Rocha, I'm actually happy that if they're not going to give him his due as a character, that we scrap it entirely, because Kenneth Williams also did not rule out the fact of coming back to Star Wars in another role. He said he had nothing but a great experience working with Lucasfilm and that company. So maybe we get to see Omar come back to the universe at some point. It's just not going to be in the Han Solo movie. How bummed are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed. I agree with you. Anything with Kenneth Williams, you immediately elevate the project. His acting is so powerful. The Wire, Boardwalk Empire, he brings a lot of power to the roles and complexity to the characters that he creates on screen. So this is a big loss. I don't know if it necessarily means the film is in trouble, but you keep adding these things to this ball of yarn, and eventually it gets really, really big, and you're just like, what am I can't even play with this anymore. So you're just worried about it all around. Like, what does this mean for the movie? And I think Kristian's right. The massive reshoots thing is huge. He dropped it. He said it. Clip. All that stuff. He is talking about how different the film is going to be. We don't know if he was a main villain and they didn't like what he did. Maybe he had a darkness to him that Star Wars wants to push
or
away.
the way he was directed,
or the way he was
initially,
directed. Well, we saw this with Rogue One, right? We all suspected that there's another movie that was directed that was way darker than what we got, and so from the previous early trailers. So this may be the same kind of situation they felt Lord Miller were maybe going too dark with this character, wanted to lighten it up with a little bit. You bring in Ron Howard, who's not really known for directing really dark, gritty films. So you bring him in, put a little lightness to the touch with Han Solo, which we always love about that character. So maybe they're having to make these changes and do this so that they can create the film that they want to create. But Michael Kenneth Williams is a smart man. For him to say, listen, they left a good taste in my mouth. I left a good taste in their mouth. I want to come back and work with them again. Then that's what the quotes say. Then I'm happy to do that. And it's smart because it means they can bring him back, create a whole new character, maybe even bring out, if there's a Han Solo sequel, maybe bring that character back and make him the main villain or the main assistant to what he's trying to do. To a degree, it does suck to lose a person of color on Star Wars because I like that it's casting more and more of this kind of thing. But, you got to let the movie be what it's going to be. And you're right, it's Ron Howard's movie now.
Yeah, Perri, make no mistake, I'm very upset that he's not going to be in the movie. I was looking forward to seeing him. It's just that I buy what the actor is saying here, that it's largely due to scheduling, as opposed to Ron Howard seeing what Lord Miller shot with him and saying, oh, no, we can't use any of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm disappointed too, because like all you guys, I'm a fan of Michael Kenneth Williams. I think he is fantastic. And the funny thing is, we're talking about, whether or not they cut him because he had a big role in the reshoots or major, or it's a small role and it's no big deal to cut him because of the scheduling issues. He's an actor who manages to do a lot with very little screen time in some of the movies that I've seen him in. So, I mean, there's really no doubt in my mind that if they left him in the movie and his role was the size of, let's say, a Maz or a Phasma, he would have had his moment. But the truth of the matter is, we have no clue what his role was. We have no clue what exactly is going on behind the scenes. I know there were rumors at a point that he was the villain of the movie. That was never confirmed. So for all we know, he did have that, that one scene or like that small handful of scenes that was going to give that character, some sort of importance in this big story here. But right now, I am going to trust them. I am going to trust them that by taking him out of the movie, it's going to make it a better movie. And I'm going to hold on to the fact that this might not be over for him. So for all we know, we could end up with a better Han Solo movie, and we could end up with a better introduction to this character Michael K. Williams could have played.
I talked already.
You stand up to the microphone like you're really excited. Like you heard something Perri said and you just
No, I thought she closed it strong.
I was waiting for it, too.
I closed it strong.
All right, good strong close there now. Ashley, let's say that I want to see the Han Solo movie when it comes out, but I don't feel like leaving my house. Do you have anything for me?
I might. THR is reporting that Comcast and Amazon are joining Apple in developing a delivery system for premium 30 days after debuting in theaters. This new premium service could be introduced in the first 2 months of 2018, with THR's report saying movie fans could likely pay $30 to rent a movie. Initial reports suggested that some studios considered making movies available for $50 17 days after initial release, but the modest $30 price point is said to be soothing the frayed nerves of theater owners. Now Amazon, Apple, and Comcast must strike deals with individual studios before the service can launch. And if it does all go through, the streaming service could be launched by January, offering the 2017 year-end holiday movies as their first offering. Perri, buy or sell a premium streaming service launching this January of 2018.
I've been stressing over whether to buy or sell this for way too long. I'll come back to that at the end. I am just so torn on this issue right now because on the one hand, clearly streaming services are the way that this industry is trending. So this is a smart thing to do to start to kind of pave the way to that. Everyone's going to have no choice eventually, especially with talk of Disney leaving Netflix and starting up their own services. This is a different story than that because we're talking about theatrical releases coming out a couple weeks after they hit theaters. But these are things that all these companies need to be preparing for. So I most certainly do not judge them for doing that. Where it hurts is that I think this is the first step to killing movie theaters and killing the theater going experience. And I'm not saying that they're going to make this happen in early 2018 and all of a sudden, poof, all of our movie theaters are going to be gone. But slowly we could get there. And it's partially the movie theater's fault. Because there's so many theaters that I go into that are super cool and have really unique experiences, like, let's say, an Alamo Drafthouse or the Prime, that are really kind of rising to the occasion and making a cool movie-going experience for all that money you pay. But then there's just the same amount that haven't improved their seats in God knows how many years, haven't done this or that. And it feels like when you go and see a movie like that and the projector isn't on point, the lighting isn't right, the sound isn't right, why am I paying all that money when I can create my optimal movie viewing experience at home with all the right stuff and just do it that way? So I understand both sides of this, and I think I'm going to lean towards buying it because it's a smart business move. It's going to happen no matter what everybody wants. I just hope that there's still theaters after all this.
I was going to say, you seem conflicted, but as you were talking about it, you were selling me on getting this.
Because I did just recently go to a public screening, and I was very, very frustrated with the way the movie looked on the screen. I'm not going to say exactly what or where I saw it, but there was a funny flutter in all of the light colors that I saw, and it was distracting me, and it was driving me insane.
You're worried about flutters driving you insane. You know what drives me insane? People, audiences, feet on chairs, cell phones going off, babies crying. That's the kind of stuff that says I am running to a service like this. I buy the concern for theater owners being like, wait, what are you doing here again? It doesn't cripple opening weekends, okay? Because opening weekends, you're still going to get excited. If Wonder Woman comes out or Star Wars comes out, you're going to rush out to see that movie opening weekend, and I will be there too. I don't care what I have in my house. I need to see Star Wars on the huge screen. But a lot of movies that I have paid money or get into free screening for to go see in big theater, I don't need to see it that way. If I can wait 3 or 4 weeks, then I might want to be up for that, especially $30. Have a couple of your friends come over. They can chip in. Dennis can pay $50 to come over to my place and watch it. So I am buying this. I don't know that it's going to happen. I would buy it if it was available. The big problem with this is that, Apple and Comcast are very excited. You still got to get studios on board. They don't have studios on board yet. Now they're pitching it to studios, and one studio is not going to be the, hey, guys, don't worry, I'll lead us into the battle. You need a bunch of studios to all collude together and say, no, we're all going to do this together. Disney apparently is not going to be a part of this equation, because if Disney wanted to do something like this, they would do something like this, and the little box would have mouse ears, and it would only be Disney movies you could get. So, Rocha, do you think this is going to happen? And if it did, would you buy it?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen, absolutely. I think it's the wave of the future. Does it mean the end of theaters? No, I don't think so. I think us as human beings, we have this desire for a communal experience. That can't be removed from us. It's why we go to concerts. It's why we go to opening nights for movies. But it may mean that theaters run films only at a certain amount of time or a certain amount of showings, and go dark on other days. They may become actual play theaters where you go dark on certain days and don't have shows. So that's certainly possible. But I think everything Perri mentioned and you mentioned is correct. People are getting frustrated at going to the theater. It's not just the technical stuff. Like, a lot of people aren't in tune with all that kind of stuff and don't mind it because they're just going there to just have a good time and be with their family and whatever, and just take a break from being around their family for a while. They just do that kind of stuff. But when you've got people opening candy at the wrong time, talking loudly, being on their cell phone.
Stop rattling the package.
Yeah, all that, kicking your chair. All those kinds of things are happening because people are getting comfortable with watching movies at their house. And because they're getting comfortable watching movies at their house, they're bringing that attitude to a theater and acting as if the theater is their living room, which it isn't. And that's frustrating those of us who still enjoy the purity of enjoying a film on screen, and all of that is affecting people. So would you rather sit at home, pay $30 and then with your family and have the nice couch and have, like Perri mentioned, 5.1 sound bars, 2.0 sound bars are incredibly inexpensive. Big TVs are down to $2,000 now at 65, 70 inches that most families can afford. So you can have you can replicate the whole theater going experience right there in your living room without dealing with annoying people. So I think it's certainly the way of the future, but I don't think it means the end of the theaters. I think we'll still have event screenings, event showings, but it may affect how long films stay in the theater.
You bring up the family aspect of it. Nobody's going to miss me when I die, but Kristian, you actually have a family. So what does this do to a father who's like, oh, it's hard for me to leave the house?
Well, that's the point, you grouchy assholes. Is the fact that, I hate to tell you this, Rocha, but people have been douches in theaters way before
I think it's
home
increasing,
theaters.
though. I think it's increasing.
You just think that because you see so many cell phones going off.
The douche theater was invented in 1918.
There's been talking and kicking chairs and gum chewing and there's been a-hole behavior for a very long time in theaters. That's always been there. There's been an increase with cell phones and that type of thing too, but there's always new things that are gonna come up. I buy this 100% because I think what studios are gonna come around to is exactly what you threw to me as far as families. It's not a matter of just avoiding people at the theater, because I agree with you, Rocha, 100% that people are always gonna want to go to the theater for the big events. This isn't gonna hurt the theater aspect at all when it comes to Star Wars, Marvel movies, big Spielberg films, spectacle movies like that. It's not, because people want to go out and they want to feel that theater experience. It's the smaller movies or or certain movies like Edge of Tomorrow or movies like that will benefit. The studios themselves will want to do this also, because with $30, that's 2 particular tickets. Now, the theaters, I'm surprised, are not having more of an issue with this, because they make their money with the concessions, and that's where you're going to get hit. Is the big money that's going to get hit is throughout the concessions, not the ticket prices, because that's 2 ticket prices right there that you can get every single time, $30. I would pay it immediately, because my wife isn't able to see these movies a lot, because right now she with my daughter, another child on the way, she didn't get to go see movies. But if I know, I'm like, she still hasn't seen Wonder Woman yet, and she wants to. She really was waiting to see Wonder Woman, and we have to wait for Blu-ray. But if I had $30, you want to watch Wonder Woman, it's in the theater now 3 weeks, because Wonder Woman will still have that boom, 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 those 3 big weeks that it had in the theater, and the thing is, the studios, even though they're going to start to say, well, we might take a hit on week 4, week 5. Will you? Or will you see an increase now because you're getting an extra 30 per home?
Right.
So that's why I think that in a business model, it makes sense. I also agree with you 100% that if Disney we might do this too. We're just going to do it for us. Like when we do our streaming series, we're going to offer you the same thing that these guys are offering you, but you can see Star Wars in a month from now. You can see Marvel movies in a month from now. I think this is really set towards families. This is set for people that can't get out of the house to see films, and it is for an older audience. When you go to the theater demographics, the age range goes from like 16 to like 23. It's for the older, grouchy people on the table to be able to do that, because you have your reasons for wanting to do it. You obviously have yours too, but I think that there is a demographic for the families that this really benefits. You're right. It is the wave of the future. It is 100% going to happen. And when, I don't know, but it will happen.
I think this actually helps smaller movies and independent movies get seen, because if you're at your house,
you have to rely on Netflix now just to put it on there.
Right.
Yeah.
If I could go home right now and just turn on Wind River, I would totally be watching that movie, as opposed to having to go out and schedule my day around going to see it in a theater. I know my life is so hard, but I think that this is something that really is to consider going forward for a lot of studios. It's just a matter of a bunch of studios banding together, having those back channel conversations and saying, yes, okay, we're all locking hands, because somebody's got to jump in the pool here. And you don't want to be the first one that jumps in the pool, then everybody else like, oh no, we were all kidding. So I hope studios get on board with this, because it makes a lot of sense. And like Kristian said, movie theaters make their money on concessions, so I'm not going to weep if they're trying to sell me $12 worth of popcorn and I'm not there as much anymore.
And don't drink Dasani water. It's the only water with salt in it. And that's why you keep getting thirsty.
What do you call it?
It's Dasani, whatever it's called.
Dasani?
Dasani, whatever it's called. That's why I don't want to
Fancy.
know the name of it, because it has salt. If you go in the bottom of the thing, it's the only water that has salt.
It has salt
on the
on
bottom.
purpose.
That's why you keep getting thirsty when you
There's
drink
also
it.
sugar in Papa John's crust, so just know that. That's why you're going to eat 7 pieces. But listen, do you think they'll adjust the price points on movies? Do you think they'll adjust the price points for the higher end movies versus the independent movies? Like the independent movies you can get for $15 or $20 in 30 days. Do you think they'll do that?
I think it's a really slippery scale. If it's like, hey, you can watch these movies, you can watch Wind River for $30, you can watch Wonder Woman for $80. I think that it's going to be a set price based on what the studio offers, but you might not be able to see Wonder Woman with the same time frame that you get to see Wind River. Like maybe Wind River you see 3 weeks, and maybe Wonder Woman takes 5 weeks. I don't know how they're going to work all that out, but be careful about salt water and buying sugar in your pizza. Holy crap, we're poisoning a generation. Let's move on to the next story.
Before we go to the next topic, I was watching the chat and I just had a question about this. Chris Fisher asked, how long do you guys think that we're going to get the movie for? If you rent the movie, do you think you get it for like just the one viewing, or will you get it for like 5 hours or a day or something?
Generally the VOD model would be like 24 hours, I think. Yeah. I could acquiesce to 12 hours, you know?
I think 24,
but
even 48. I mean, because that's what they usually do. They give you enough time. They should give you enough time to watch it, again, with keeping consideration with
There is
families.
no way they're going to. I always complain about that with my Apple rentals, that I'll rent something, and if I want to watch, half one night and half the next night after work, I can't do that because the rental expires, and then
Is
I
it
wind
only
up.
24 hours?
It's 24 hours. $50, and I wind up paying just as much to watch the full thing as I would to have just bought it originally.
But that's the trick. I mean, that's what you're going to have to realize, though, if you get this thing. That's why they basically presenting it like you are going to the theater, but you're going to the theater in your house. It's that you're not going to have the benefit of keeping it the way you would a streaming thing. I'm okay with that. Like for 24 hours, it's like you've got to make the commitment. It's like if you're going to go to sleep right now, you better make sure that we're not watching this tonight. Like, I'm not putting $30 down to watch this movie and you're going to go to bed. You're committing.
That's probably where they're going to benefit and even it out.
You better wake up.
Because like we keep thinking about, everybody's going to have everybody come over to watch this movie, and that's all those tickets that don't go into the box office total. But think about how many,
it's like
people are going to sit there and press play and not finish it.
Yeah, George Carlin, I'm tired. Bullshit.
You hear me, Dennis? You better get there on time. It's going to be $50. All right, what's our next topic?
Variety reports that Ben Hardy, Gwilym Lee, and Joe Mazzello have been cast opposite Rami Malek in the upcoming Queen biopic Bohemian Rhapsody, directed by Bryan Singer. Production on the film will begin this fall, with Singer directing from a script by Justin Haythe. Hardy will play drummer Roger Taylor, Lee will portray lead guitarist Brian May, and Mazzello will take on the role of bass guitarist John Deacon. The movie will be produced by New Regency and Graham King's GK Films, with King reported to have tried for years to get the project off the ground after originally setting it up at Sony with Sacha Baron Cohen attached to star. A release date has not been set at this time. Rocha, buy or sell the new cast additions for the Queen biopic Bohemian Rhapsody?
I'll buy it when I actually see it come out in the theaters. Like I'm there. This has had so many stops and starts, and it's a very frustrating thing because Freddie Mercury is a fantastic story to tell. The guy has an incredible stage presence and an incredible voice. If you want to see what a rock star looks like and can be, go and watch on YouTube. Watch him from Live Aid 1980. That is a rock star. That's Queen. That's amazing. Watch what he can do. And those are the things. So are you going to find an actor that can hit that? I thought Sacha Baron Cohen physically was as close to Freddie Mercury as anybody they've mentioned in the previous attempts to make this movie. Rami Malek, I like him in Mr. Robot. He's a good actor. Obviously, Emmy-winning actor. He's a fantastic actor. I just don't know physically it excites me to see him play Freddie Mercury. He may look like Freddie, may put the big mustache on and do all the things, maybe mess with his teeth a little bit, but I don't think it's going to necessarily get there the way that I would have bought Sacha Baron Cohen. We saw his singing voice in Sweeney Todd. He was fantastic in Sweeney Todd. We've seen him play comedy in other situations, and Freddie was known for being a funny guy, so those kinds of things could play out. My concern is this. It feels like, even with these guys that they've cast, are mostly TV actors, right? You've got Lee from The Hollow Crown. Of course, we got Mazzello from The Social Network, but you don't have necessarily that kind of marquee names filling out these famous people in the band that's going to make it feel necessarily like a feature film. This feels a little bit like more of an independent feel than a grand scale feel. That's
first of all, let me go a little Jack Black and High Fidelity. It was 1985. Live Aid.
Live Aid.
I look.
Is there a slowdown for music?
This new casting passed the eye test for me because particularly Hardy and Lee, they look a lot like Roger Taylor and Brian May. I mean, that gets me excited. And I'm going to push against you because I buy this casting simply because we don't have huge stars. And not that Sacha Baron Cohen would have been bad as Freddie Mercury, but that ship has sailed. He ain't walking through that door. I think Rami Malek is somebody, he might be a little diminutive, but as Tom Cruise can attest to, you can look taller on screen. So I think he can pull off the role of Freddie Mercury, particularly if you have a lot of angles like looking up at him, like you're an audience member. I think it's going to be just fantastic. I am so excited about Queen. Kristian, you had a question.
Yeah, you guys are off the mark because Sacha Baron Cohen was too tall to play Freddie Mercury. He was 6'3". Freddie Mercury was 5'10".
That's what I'm saying.
And you know how tall Malek
5'9".
was?
That's what I'm. That's
Yeah.
literally what I'm
I
saying.
didn't say diminutive. I didn't say diminutive.
I just think that
I didn't talk about Sam
He
Levine.
was larger
Yeah.
than life.
He could be good. Freddie Mercury would have been. I mean, what's his name? Sacha Baron Cohen would have been great as Freddie Mercury. But I think that this kid's good, and I think that we're in a different place nowadays to where we say, well, these TV actors, the TV actors are just as good as film actors.
I'm not saying that.
I know you. I'm sorry.
Some of them just don't transfer over.
Stature-wise,
Yeah.
you don't need a big star, a huge star, in order to sell this movie. Freddie Mercury, Queen will sell this movie, and this is another movie. This is a perfect example of a movie that would be, whether it's streamed or whether it gets into this theater thing too, because this is not a movie that would drive people out into theaters to see. Are you a fan of the band? This is something that'll probably be post during Oscar season. It has been set up for a very long time. This is also very intriguing to see Bryan Singer do this because I want to see Bryan Singer get away from X-Men. I want to see him get away from the giant Peach movies or whatever the movie, the giant movie that he did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to see him. He didn't do Giant Peach, but I want to see him do.
Jack the
Jack the
Giant
Giant. That's
Slayer.
one. That's one.
The Beanstalk movie.
All that stuff. Superman. Get away from it. Let's see what you do with Queen. Because we have been waiting for this for a very long time.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about it. I love the band. Band's
I
fantastic.
would make the argument that Freddie Mercury might be the best mutant we've ever had. I think he's the best lead singer of all time.
Right.
And I'm a huge
All
fan.
time.
I think he's the best frontman that has ever lived.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Wow. about you, Perri?
Jim Morrison is.
Well,
cursing.
speaking of mutants, I'm happy that Ben Hardy got cast in this because I just remember when we were talking about him all day long because he was cast in Apocalypse, and then you get none of him. So I'm happy he's got a big project, and I'm biased with Joe Mazzello because I love Jurassic Park. So anything he's cast in, I'm going to be happy about it. But I like the idea of this whole thing. Yeah, I think Sacha Baron Cohen would have done a great job in the role, but it's actually really interesting and exciting to just track this project all the way through. We have Brian May and Roger Taylor executive producing this thing, and it seems like, based on every single quote I've read from them, they've been heavily involved. And, they keep separating with these actors who are assigned to play these roles because of, creative differences or not liking their take or where they want to take this movie. So the fact that they finally landed on something, and they're going to shoot it, and it's got a December 2018 release date. That's award season territory. That's I have confidence in this movie territory. So all that alone makes me really excited.
That's right. Get your bicycle ready and tie your mother down. There's a Queen movie on the way. Well, our last topic before we get into your live Twitter questions is going to be about a young engineer who did nothing more than play basketball in Ecuador for a number of years, and now he's made it all the way to the top. Tell us about it, Ashley.
Netflix has unveiled the very first trailer for the upcoming original film Little Evil. Written and directed by Tucker and Dale versus Evil filmmaker Eli Craig, the horror comedy stars Adam Lewis as a guy who marries the woman of his dreams, played by Evangeline Lilly, only to find out that his new Everett, Donald Faison, Tyler Labine, and Kyle Bronheimer. Little Evil will be available on Netflix on September 1st. Mark Barsell, the first trailer for Little Evil.
It may not be available until September, but it's in my heart right now. I'm so excited about Little Evil. The fact that is our beloved JT's nickname. It's now a Netflix movie. That when you watch the actual trailer, I buy. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like it's got some scares, some good comedy in it. So I buy everything about the Little Evil trailer. Kristian, I throw it to you.
Well, I mean, I think the comments, by the way, please go and look at the movie clips
On the
trailer
actual
comments.
trailer
But if
page.
you go to the trailer, the comments of the movie clips trailers, there's so many JTE comments.
it's
but the
great.
best is that movie clips trailer responded to the Collider one and said, "Oh wait, this isn't about him." Like it's incredible. Go and leave your JTE comments there. Enjoy it. But what I also realized in those comments that people didn't really get what it was. They're like, "This looks stupid. Is it a comedy? Is it a horror? It's a horror comedy." So look who did it. It's so I think that it could be funny or it could be an absolute train wreck that misses. That's the thing with these movies. It's like you take a swing at it, you take a shot. I like Adam Scott very much. Evangelina Lilly, Tyler Bean, our friend Donald Faison.
Yeah.
Also, they like to have that cast. You have the potential of doing something really funny. It's a spoof off The Omen and everything that they've kind of done with these movies in the past. But like I said, you could really see it be a disaster. I was very disappointed that it wasn't JTE's movie. I think the rise and fall of Little Evil, if you haven't watched it, is probably even better than this. Rise and fall of Little Evil. Check it out.
It's got a high bar to beat that. Perri, what do you think?
I buy the JTE comments, but I saw this trailer, and I'm a huge Tucker and Dale vs. Evil fan, and I think that is a sign that this could be pretty good, but I didn't find this all that scary, and I don't really understand those comments because I didn't read it that way, being confused with the tone or anything. I knew exactly what it was, and the way that I read a trailer like that was I was just envisioning a bunch of people in a room saying, "Wouldn't it be funny if his stepson was the Antichrist?" And then it's like the idea just died there, and that was it, because I could have predicted everything I saw in this. I'm still going to watch it, though.
John Rocha, you've had your run-ins with Little Evil. What do you think about his trailer?
Well, it's like seeing him with hair once again. That's nice to see it. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, listen, and he hasn't grown any since that shot of that kid. So, poor JT. No, listen, I thought this was uneven. I agree with Perri. I sell it. I wanted it to be funnier. I like Evangeline Lilly. I like when she takes chances in in films like this. And Adam Scott, this is totally in his wheelhouse. And the kid looks funny in the Earthworm stuff. So the stuff with the kid looks funny, and the stuff with the like Donald Faison, that whole crew of his that look like dads who've had evil stepchildren or something in their lives, that little support group, that looks very funny, and it feels very much like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So you see that vibe, and of course Tyler Labine showing up is always great. But I thought some of the jokes didn't quite land, and it wasn't quite as funny as I wanted it to be. So hopefully maybe there's a better trailer out there that doesn't have that terrible Field of Dreams joke as the cherry on top of the cake of that trailer, and something that's a little bit more funny. And so I sell the trailer, but I still might watch the movie.
We love you, JTE. You're a hell of an engineer, a damn good basketball player, and congratulations on Kyrie Irving coming to your basketball team.
Ugh.
JT texted me last night, and he said he might try to go to our special screening of Jurassic Park, which is a week from yesterday. That is going to be at ArcLight in a little bit here. 7:30 p.m. is the time, August 29th. You guys can come to ArcLight in Hollywood. You can meet the Collider crew, do a special Q&A with us while we screen Jurassic Park. Is going to be a lot of fun. You guys can get tickets right now at Collider.com. Today is actually the last day you can get tickets at Collider.com. You can, of course, get tickets at ArcLight through their website, but if you want to go to Collider.com right now, space is going to fill up fast, so make sure you guys get your Jurassic Park tickets today on Collider.com. That is next Tuesday, August 29th at 7:30 p.m. Q&A, Jurassic Park, drinks with the crew. It's going to be a whole lot of fun on a Tuesday. We also have daily episodes of TV Talk and Heroes. They're both going to be coming up later today. TV Talk actually goes live right after us, hosted by Josh McCouga, and then Heroes hosted by John Schnepp. Speaking of which, he also has a brand new comic book shopping that is out today. Here's a quick look.
Hey, what's up, sweaties? I'm standing here with Will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas. Hey, how you doing, Taboo? The mothership has arrived. You might dig this one. It's fantastic.
Okay, that's dope.
This is one of my favorite. Like, I had this when I was a little kid.
How do I keep my inspiration going? Because the toys inspire me to create music. Beat somebody up with this, bro.
Tell me a little bit how this all came about.
We borrowed from a lot of like historical facts and conspiracy theories that we all just like mixed up and sampled, you know, and treated it like hip hop. Black Eyed Peas, you know, what do they know about comic books?
Turns out a lot.
Check out an all-new episode of Comic Book Shopping. It is up right now on Collider Video. Plus, we have a whole lot of schmodown going on. Got some team tournament action.
The team tournament started yesterday. Our first match was between Trek and Cinema Blend. Action and Deep Cuts goes up today. 2 more matches. The next 2 days, we're going to have a lot of matches. 4 matches a week for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So check it out. Go ahead and do that. It's a lot of fun.
And you guys can catch a link to Awesome Tech, your Jeremy Johnson show, every week on the Go 90 channel. You can check out the latest episode in this vid's description. Usually we go on to mailbag, but we got so excited talking about little evils and big jokers and stuff that we are going to go right to live Twitter questions. We love taking them from you guys each and every day here on Movie Talk. At Collider Video is our handle, and Wendy Lee has our one and only Twitter question today. What do we got?
Hope it's a good one. This one comes from Louis Rivera, who writes, I heard that there is going to be a Knight Rider big screen movie starring Kevin Hart and John Cena. Do you think this can work?
I think a Knight Rider, a spoof movie in the vein of 21, 22 Jump Street could work, but I'm just tired of having to spin remakes like that. Like, oh, maybe it's 21 or 22 Jump Street. I'm just getting a little sick of it. I want to see Kevin Hart branch out and do something else. I think John Cena has a lot of talent, both as an action star and comedically speaking. I just think Knight Rider, it could be okay at best.
It screams right along to me, and it screams that Kit's going to start cracking jokes. It makes me very nervous. I always thought that Knight Rider could have actually gone the serious route. I think Knight Rider could have been cool with the serious route if they did it, especially with today's technology, the way that with the AI that they're able to kind of talk to it. This is going to turn out to be goofy. There's a possibility. Same thing I was just saying, a little evil is that it's so fun saying that. That I think that there's a possibility that it could be funny depending on how it's executed, but it makes me nervous.
Perri, Knight Rider.
Yeah, I'm not particularly invested in Knight Rider, so I really don't care one way or the other. It could turn out great, it could not, but I just want an announcement for an original movie with folks that I really admire.
Rocha, you grew up with Knight Rider
I did.
posters adorned all over your walls. David Hasselhoff on every corner in your bedroom.
Absolutely.
He went to
What do
school
you
with
think
House
about this
Hoff.
news?
I worshipped at the altar of Hoff. Yeah. Listen, this is a dumb idea. I just don't like the idea at all. We just saw what happened with Baywatch. What more do you need as a, I'm with Perri. Let's just walk away from these remakes, please. 21 Jump Street, the reason we love that is because it's an anomaly. They're not successful doing these reboots of these 80s shows on a consistent basis or on a high, they're not hitting a high batting average with this. So to me, it just screams like redoing it. It's like, we had our time in the 80s. You're not going to replicate it in 2017. Sorry. It was our time. You make your movies, do your thing. It just bothers me a little because I agree with you. I think Kevin is a fantastic actor. He's a great worker, hard worker. That guy deserves everything he gets. He deserves to get better material.
Although I do want to see Kevin Hart and John Cena be in something together, I just probably would not prefer it to be Knight Rider. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here today on Collider Movie Talk. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thanks to our hardworking crew back there. As they get set for a live edition of TV Talk, we throw it here to our panel. Kristian, Harloff, where can the kids find you?
Twitter and Instagram, Jedi Council every Thursday. And like I just mentioned before, the movie trivia Schmodown, the team edition. Make sure you go on over there, give us a comment, give us a like, let us know what matches you think, who you think is going to win. Get invested because then the singles tournament comes right after this one wraps up.
And tonight, the Schmoes Know Live, Kristian and I are going to be taking you guys through our fall movie preview. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Perri Nemiroff, you enjoy fall movies.
I do very much, especially, hopefully, soon enough. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @PNemiroff. And of course, check out Collider Behind the Scenes and Bloopers every Saturday at 2 p.m. PST.
You're going to see it before me, and you're going to let me know about it each and every day. I look forward to it. Rocha?
Hey, you guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks, everybody, for all the tweets you guys are already sending me, congratulating me on the new job. It's my honor to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I've been informed it is now a part-time position. We go on to Ashley Mova. Where can the kids check you out?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
And last but certainly not least, Wendy Lee Zaney. Where can the kids find you?
I was just hit with the realization that I may never get my wand from the one and only Ollivander at Harry Potter Land. So you can find me at Wendy Lee Zaney on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat crying over this.
He's a good sport, and he'll always buy you a butterbeer. Congratulations to John Rocha. I'm merely Mark Ellis. You guys get tickets for upcoming shows, markellislive.com. The 40th anniversary of the La Jolla Comedy Store. This Sunday night, I'll be performing on it. It's an honor to share the stage that was once occupied by John Stephen Rocha. We will see you guys tomorrow right here for a new edition of Collider Movie Talk.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.